Blog Talk Radio.
All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. This is Real Combat Media MMA Radio. I am your host. My name is Isaac Lanfert. I'm coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana. I've got my co-host with me, David Hewlett, professional fighter, currently in Phuket, Thailand. David, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up, Isaac?
And we are also joined on our panel today by MMA enthusiast and recreational participant Mike Wurst in Memphis, Tennessee. Mike, how are you?
All right, how are you doing, Isaac?
Very, very good. We have a packed show here. We're going to do our best to get through all this information. It's a good time to be a fight fan. Not only did we just have this past week 2 UFC cards, we have a UFC card coming up Wednesday and a Bellator card on Saturday. On top of that discussion, we also have guests today. We're going to be talking to Tyron Woodley at the half-an-hour mark here, UFC Welterweight standout. I also had a conversation earlier today with World Series of Fighting welterweight Josh Burkman, see what's going on with him next. And we are also going to talk to, our third guest here, Jamie. Mike, what's Jamie's last name?
Jamie Houston.
Yes, thank you. I was flipping through some pages here. Yes, Jamie Houston to talk about Summit Fighting Championship, new promotion that he's starting up. So, gentlemen, busy time we have here.
It sounds like
yeah. Go ahead.
So where are we going to start with this?
Yeah, well, first I want to talk about the Indianapolis card, UFC Fight Night 27 in Indianapolis, Indiana. I actually got to attend this event, which was fantastic, and it was a great card. The matchmaking was solid. We talked about that going into it, just what great matchmaking was put on for this card and Saturday night's card as well, but we'll get to that in time. We saw here in Indianapolis, I'm going to just start at the bottom and kind of recap and go up. Roger Bowling, Abel Trujillo, great back-and-forth fight that ended with a no contest, doing an unintentional illegal knee, which, depending on who you are, I don't think was actually illegal. Zach Cummings pulled off submission of the night over Ben Holloway with a Darce choke. Jason High got a great guillotine choke over James Head. Darren Elkins came back from a rough first round with Hato Hioki for a unanimous decision. Brandon Thatch made about as impressive as a UFC debut as you can get with a first-round KO of Justin Edwards, picking up knockout of the night. Dylan Andrews defeated Papi Abedi. Again, a back-and-forth fight. That was a TKO round 3. Brad Tavares takes decision from Robert McDaniel. Mizugaki defeats Eric Perez, derailing the young Mexican's train there with a split decision. Court McGee takes out Robert Whitaker. Kelvin Gastelum, impressive in his 170-pound debut with a submission rear naked choke, which came on the end of some strikes on Belen Melancon and Rafael Dos Anjos, taking out a flat-looking Donald Cerrone for a unanimous decision. That was, I think, maybe the upset of the night right there. And Carlos Condit, in the fight of the night, takes out Martin Kattman, TKO strikes in the 4th round. Did you guys get to see this card?
I did.
I saw chunks of it. Yeah, I saw a bit.
Yeah, it was great front to back. And I will say, being live, what I love about MMA is, unlike any other sport, Brandon Thatch, he knocks out his opponent in the first round. He goes back to, so the doctors can check him out. Within 15 minutes, Brandon Thatch is in the audience for the rest of the show, signing autographs, taking photos, as was almost everybody else on this card. Really nice to see interaction with the fans like that. What were your biggest impressions coming away from this card? I'll go to you first, David.
Biggest impressions. Well, Brandon Thatch is legitimate. That guy came out on fire. Did really, really good. Was real impressed with that knockout. And Kevin Gastelum is legit as far as we can tell. That kid is really, really hungry. He had a great showing. And then I would say the other fight that I want to talk about in this one would be the main event with Carlos Condit and
yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
And Kevin. I didn't have a whole lot of specialized thoughts on anything necessarily. I mean, I just I remember Kelvin Gastelum and the Brian Malakon. How you say it?
Yeah.
It's cool to see this guy back fighting after winning the show, and we get to see what he could do under the pressure of the Ultimate Fighter House, and now we're getting to see what he can do now. He can get a full training camp with his normal people, and what can this guy accomplish in mixed martial arts. And so far, he was really, really impressive. He's walked right through this guy. He's completely one-sided.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I usually am excited to watch Donald Cerrone get beat up, but I actually did not. I didn't see this fight just because I knew it was a decision. And no, I did. I watched I either watched most of it or the first 2 rounds or something like that, and it seemed like he caught that big shot, right? I mean, Cerrone is getting a little gun shy lately. It seems he's been cracked a few times over and over, and he's not really pulling the trigger like he used to.
I think it is. It's worth noting that Cerrone not only had a rock climbing accident before this fight, but he also picked up some sort of assault charge on a boat in the recent months. So maybe some things going on with Donald Cerrone that are following him into the cage there.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. He's one of those guys where in social circles you always hear people in the Southwest talking about, oh yeah, I saw Cerrone at this or at that, and it wasn't the most pleasant experience meeting him or whatever. And he's popular for a reason. He's controversial, and he's got attitude, and he's cocky, and he does his thing. That's what sells and does well for him. But I guess if that starts creeping into your fight camp, then it's gonna fuck with you. That seems to be what happened. Although it sounds like from what I saw this fight. I saw most of it. But I thought this Annius looked good. But was it him looking good or was it Cerrone looking bad?
Both. It was definitely both, in my opinion.
I was kind of surprised to see this Annius matched against him because I haven't really been keeping up with this guy, but I'm looking at him now. He's on a 5-fight win streak.
Yeah, he's hit a stride for sure. Mike, sorry, go finish your thought, David.
Well, I was just going to say, they're almost all decisions, though. I'm kind of shocked to see him fighting a guy like Cerrone using him. Maybe they were trying to pink slip this guy with Donald Cerrone, and he ended up whooping Donald's ass. Because he's decisioned a bunch of people. Like, he's on a streak right now, but, I haven't heard of him recently because he doesn't seem to be finishing people.
I thought this was supposed to be a tune-up fight for Donald Cerrone. Mike, would you agree with that? Were you as shocked as everyone else about this fight?
Yeah, I got to see the whole fight, and I was kind of surprised that Dos Anjos just kind of took it. He had that huge right in the first round. It looked like he should have finished him in the first round, but then he just got on top of him and he kind of ground and pounded him, and then he just kind of mixed it up, and Cerrone seemed like he was off his game the whole night.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna ask you what you think about the main event here, Mike, too. But I neglected to point out that the listeners here can also join in the conversation with us. You can call in the show live at 347-324-5998. You can also find us on Twitter at Real Combat Media, Facebook at Real Combat Media as well. I've got a personal Twitter. It's at Isaac Lampert, ISAACLANDFERT. David, what is your Twitter?
It's at DCHulett, DCHULETT.
And Mike, your Twitter as well?
It's at SoccerGuy39, SOCCER Guy 39.
Fantastic. And sorry for the interruption. I realized I was neglecting my host duties here. So continue with your thoughts on UFC Fight Night 27.
Condon Campman, it kind of looked, first round, it kind of looked like Carlos was a little gun shy, and then Campman got him down. He kind of took it to him in the first round. He took him down 4 times. And then in the second round, it was kind of like Condon came out, and he just kind of laid it to him. And then, in the third, and definitely in the fourth round, he just really stepped his game up, and he looked really good.
Yeah, and I tell you, I was surprised because all you've been hearing is about how Condit's been working on his wrestling, and how many takedowns did Catman score in that first round? I mean, it was a lot. Like 5, maybe. Like he's taking down so
4.
much. Yeah, wow. I mean, I was surprised, but I said before the fight that is the best game plan to beat Carlos Condit, is it not, to pin him down? But he's so active, and I think that's what happened. He just burnt Martin Kampmann out. He didn't have the stamina to maintain that fight, and Martin Kampmann has taken some serious punishment in his time in the UFC. Like, there's no way he's going to be okay at the end of this career. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, he took a lot of punishment. In the third, I think it was in the third round, Condit hit him with an elbow right between the eyes and split him open, and then it was just it was on from there. He had the rear naked choke attempt, and he just took it to him in the third and the fourth round. It looked like Kampmann kind of gassed himself out the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. And is there anything you want to say about the main event before we move on to UFC 64, David?
Well, regarding the wrestling thing, it is possible that Martin saw what Johnny Hendricks was able to do with Carlos, because Carlos is not the type of fighter that anybody wants to fight. I mean, he makes people look bad, and he beats people, and that's the main reason, because he's constantly just smashing through people with different, with his really highly advanced game. He's sort of on the Nick Diaz strategy plan, though, as far as he's not really a wrestler, more of a jiu-jitsu guy from his back. He's a striker on the feet. I thought that it looked like Martin, I think he did a really good job, but he's just not Johnny Hendricks when it comes to wrestling, and his striking is really good. Like Martin is obviously super high level, but yeah, he might be in the twilight of his career. What do you do with the guy Martin Kampmann in the welterweight division of the UFC? Where he's great for a fight like this. Obviously, this made a really good fight, but realistically, is he gatekeeper status at this point?
I mean, it appears that way. I mean, he can win. He's one of those, he can win fights against the guys that aren't in the top 10, but I think that maybe his days of being thought of as a challenger are over.
Yeah, I guess that answered my question. Yeah, that's all I got on that. We can move on.
Yeah, right on. And I wish actually we could spend more time on this, but we only record once a week, and so Wednesday is getting overshadowed by Saturday here, because Saturday night was a fantastic card. UFC 164 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Once again, I'll just start read them off. Magnus Senebal defeats Jared Hammond via submission in the first round. I lost money on that fight. I thought the durable Jared Hammond would pull out. Al Iaquinta put a beating on Ryan Couture for 3 rounds. Sal Palele defeated Nikita Krylov in what is being a highly criticized fight. He did pull off the TKO in the third round with a broken rib, so some credit to go to him. Chico Camus defeats Kayong Ho Kang. I'm butchering his name. I know it's pronounced Kong, his last name. Decision. That was people kind of back and forth on that one, because Chico fought most off his back, but that was a pretty good fight. Hyun-Gu Lim against Pascal Kraus. Even though he beat him in the first round, Kim beat Kraus with a TKO, still got fight of the night for both guys, so payday for Kraus on a loss. Tim Elliott in the flyweight division takes out Louis Ganoit. Decision, clear-cut decision, worked him pretty good. Gleason Tibau worked Jamie Varner for 2 rounds, lost the third, but still carried out a split decision. Dustin Poirier and Eric Koch, how it wasn't fight of the night, I'm not sure. Poirier gets the unanimous decision, fantastic. Ben Rothwell, Brandon Vera returned to the heavyweight division, and he got thrown back out with a TKO by Ben Rothwell round 3. Chad Mendez put a clinic on Clay Guida, ended it with a KO in the third round. Barnett, TKO over Frank Mir. Was it stopped too early? Maybe. Anthony Pettis taps out Ben Henderson with an armbar for submission of the night. I should note Chad Mendez got the KO of the night. An amazing night of fights. I want to say before anything else, the Frank Mir wasn't stopped too early. Anyone who didn't see it, they were having a basic hockey fight, hands on the back of each other's heads, swinging. Barnett lands a knee on Mir's face. Mir falls to his face and knees against the cage. The ref jumps in and stops it. Mir protests, fine. The thing is, watch when Frank Mir stands up. He goes to prop his hand on his leg to stand, and his hand slips off. He's obviously not totally coherent. And we've seen Frank Mir take just brutal punishment in his career. Only one of his losses is not by TKO. He does not recover from damage well. We're talking about heavyweights laying big damage. Maybe it was stopped too early, but better for Frank Mir's life afterwards, in my opinion. Mike, did you get to see this card?
No, I didn't get to see it, but to follow up on the Frank Mir part, I've actually seen his last two fights before this one. He's done. In my opinion, he's done, because he let Daniel Cormier just push him up against the cage and beat on him for 3 rounds, and Daniel Cormier won by decision. And then I was not surprised at all that Barnett came out and knocked him out in the first round, because he's not shown anything in his last 3 fights.
Yeah, I mean, he's always so susceptible to the punches. And not to say, he has pulled off wins. He pulled off the win against Brock the first fight while getting hit. He pulled off the win against Nogueira when he was rocked. It's not to say he couldn't do it, but those 2 fights matched up against the others, the Ian Freeman, the second Brock Lesnar, the Shane Carwin. Like, there are a lot of fights that Frank Mir has been just brutalized. He doesn't recover well, and, you know, maybe you take that into consideration when you're reffing. I'm not saying that's the case, but maybe you should. David, did you get any of this?
No, go on with your thought.
Mike, yeah.
Mike?
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah.
That's all right. I was just gonna say, yeah. When you got a guy's life in your hands, you know, the guy's taking enough punishment. You can criticize him for stopping the fight too early. But, I mean, you know, knee to the side of the head, if it's right in the right spot, you're risking this guy's life. So, you know, Frank Mir can be mad that he stopped the fight too early, or he thinks he stopped the fight too early, but he was done anyway, somewhere in that first round, whether he stopped it or not.
Yeah, I agree. Mike, what are your thoughts on Anthony Pettis taking the lightweight belt?
Hold on.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
You got something to say about Frank Mir?
Are we going to talk about Frank Mir anymore? Because I had some thoughts on that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let's talk about Frank Mir's spin more.
Yeah, well, here's the thing with Mir is that the way to fight him is to pressure him and crush him into the fence, you know, or to just beat him. I agree with one point that Mike made, and I disagree with the second. I don't think that Frank Mir is done. If you look at his fights, he knocked out Krokop. He got a decision over Roy Nelson, who's still pretty hot right now, and then Nogueira. Arguably, Nogueira and Krokop are on their way out, but Roy's still hanging in there. And then you see those 3 losses. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. If you're talking about the heavyweight division, you don't get worse, like, matchups than Junior Dos Santos, Daniel Cormier, and Josh Barnett back-to-back. JADS, former champ, obviously, like, smashes people. He TKOs everybody. Daniel Cormier, like, I don't know, like, to say, you know, when you said that, Mike, that he let Daniel Cormier push him up against the fence and control him and beat him by decision. Daniel Cormier is a bad motherfucker. I mean, did you see what he did to Josh Barnett? No one's ever done that to Josh Barnett. I think that Daniel Cormier would destroy anybody in the heavyweight and in the light heavyweight division, with the exception of maybe the current champ. What's his face?
Kane. You talking heavyweight? Kane? Yeah.
Kane Velasquez.
Right
now, Josh Barnett came out just on fire in this fight, though. I mean, I thought Josh. It's just good to see him back doing what he does, you know, and just ragdolling other heavyweights, old school style, you know, like Gene LaBelle, and ratcheting him down and smashing him. And as far as the stoppage, I personally didn't think it was that big of a deal. I saw the stoppage and I thought, yeah, Mir's going to complain because he got flashed, but he also, you know, he got ragdolled for 2 minutes by Josh Barnett before he got torqued into that particular knee. And then when he dropped, it wasn't the knee that dropped him. It was the follow-up punches that made him fall from his hands and knees to flat on his face that made his ref jump in. And I've seen fights stopped arguably legitimately for less visual reasons. I mean, you can't go all floppy. Forrest Griffin used to do that, where if he got knocked down, he was just kind of sprawl. He just kind of flop out. And you guys remember that? Like, Like, I mean, not to cite the Anderson Silva fight. I mean, well, it's exactly to do that. But you've seen this in other fights, like against Rashad, where he got knocked out. Where some people, they just kind of, when they fall, they kind of go loose, you know, so it kind of absorbs the. And that's I kind of do that too. Like if I, but at the same time, it looks really bad. And Mir may have been like, half in and half not, but I mean, he got hit in the face by, and he got mauled, and then he got. So I don't think it was a short stoppage, but I don't think it was a quick stoppage. Although I can see the argument. I keep hearing people talk about this, and I just don't see what the big deal is. I mean, he got smashed with the knee, and he got manhandled before that. That's the thing. It was really similar to the Carwin fight. If you guys remember that one, Carwin got a hold of him, drove him against the cage, and just started finding those punches and finding those openings by pressuring him against the cage and not letting him get away. And he wasn't really trying to get away. And Mir apparently really enjoys just putting his back against the cage and fighting.
Yeah, not a pretty night for him. David, do you want to take the first stab at the main event here, the armbar from Anthony Pettis to take the lightweight title?
Oh, right. It was just a great performance. We've seen Pettis get better in every fight ever since he got injured, or ever since that Clay Guida fight. We've seen Pettis just slowly start to climb out of the losing column and do really impressive things in his last few outings. And I was really surprised that he beat Benson. I don't think that Benson has been really... I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Benson's not the same fighter that he used to be either, but it seems like they're on the same learning curve, and Pettis beat him last time, and he beat him again. It was fantastic. I thought it was really, really good. And everyone's talking about, I can't believe you submitted him, But, I mean, look, Pettis is an elite lightweight, the top of the food chain in mixed martial arts. Of course, he knows how to do arm bars. You know what I mean? He's not Royce Gracie. Not like Royce Gracie. You know what I mean? He's not like a one-trick pony, is what I'm saying.
Right. Right, Mike. Did you just see the main event?
No, I didn't.
Or at least the highlights.
Yeah, I saw some of the highlights. And you and me kind of discussed it a little bit afterwards. I was more shocked that he submitted him than I think anything else, because I watched the last couple of Benson fights, and David was saying, it was he's kind of not the same as he used to be. It seems like he just kind of gets in the fight and he just kind of grinds it out, and gets a decision, goes on to the next fight. When you got somebody like Pettis coming in who's young, who's hungry and wants that title. So that part didn't surprise me. The submission part's what surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, it was those body kicks, man, that he landed and I like it when things play out that way, because in the countdown show, Duke Rufus was talking about the round kicks. He was just talking about how much more damaging Anthony Pettis' kicks are from the first time that the two of them had fought, and that showed. I think that Benson had a good game plan to try to wear Pettis down, put him against the cage where he can't jump and spin at you and hit you with crazy things. But when they got that separation, it got nasty.
Well, Benson was using all those really cool low kicks too. He had that heel. It was like a teep to the inside of the shin when he was up against the cage. You see that? Where he had him? Yeah. I've never seen that before, but it's interesting. If you are really close to, if you're leaning your chest up against a wall and you have your feet slightly back from the wall and you're thinking, I want to get the ball of my foot and kick it hard onto the wall, you actually do have leverage to do that, and you could really hurt somebody's shin. And that's smart. That's one of those little those little sneaky tricks that you just have to put the hours in to figure out that, I guess I can hit him. I hit him here with this. And I thought it was pretty cool. And Benson had a really good game plan, and he wanted to stifle him and shut him down. But Pettis' game plan was also to, I guess, wear him down in the body. I mean, Benson he's a torso heavy dude. He's got that long waist, and that's like catnip to a guy like Pettis, who loves to sink his shins into your ribs.
Right. And, I don't want to slight Benson Henderson here, but I think that everyone might be happier with Anthony Pettis as their lightweight champion.
Oh, they were booing him. They were booing Benson, and he wasn't a dick. I don't know. People didn't ever really warm up to Henderson as a champion. It seems that I think that a lot of it were the circumstances under which he won the belt, having nothing to do with his own performances, but having to do with that whole Frankie Edgar, BJ Penn bottomless pit of decisions that we had to climb out of 3 years of running before Benson finally emerged. out of the as the top dog of the lightweight division. We kind of, send Frankie down and send BJ packing. And, I think that whole thing. And then he had to have a rematch with Frankie. Did he have a rematch with Frankie? He did, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, see, so it's just like, God damn, like, could we see something new?
Yeah.
And Benson had been in there during that sort of boring period, and so people still think of that when they see him. With Anthony Pettis, people think the Pettis kick. They think this ninja thing. He's this awesome karate ninja who came along and kicked all the boring out of the lightweight division as far as people in the crowd on, Saturday night seem to be feeling.
Yeah, for sure. And the question as fans here, I think, is, I'm going to go to you on this, Mike. Just quick answer here. Do you want to see Anthony Pettis fight Jose Aldo, as they're both talking about, or do you want to see them defend their titles in their own divisions?
No, I'd like to see Anthony Pettis against Jose Aldo. I think that'd be a great fight.
Yeah, what do you think, David?
Pettis Aldo would be great, but then do we need a? Yeah, he's got his hands full in the lightweight division too. I mean, don't forget about homeboy with the beard. What's his name?
TJ.
He got hurt.
Yeah, TJ.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of lightweights I'd love to see Pettis fight before we want to. I think people are excited that Pettis is the champion, and they're scared for him to be fighting like other divisions because they don't want Benson to come back.
Right. And
Maybe
speaking of the other divisions, I will quickly hit Chad Mendez, the first person to stop Clay Guida. The guy is looking so hot with these he's just killing guys right now. He has got to be climbing his way back to a shot with Jose Aldo.
He's got to be. Chad Mendez is a bad motherfucker. How he smoked my boy Cody McKenzie. He shouldn't have been fighting him anyway. This is his first fight in 45 to Clay Guida. That's TKOing Clay Guida. That's a horse of a different color. Mendez is incredibly good. But there's a couple other people in line for Aldo, not to mention we don't know what's going to happen with Pettis. Well, we know the UFC wants to do that one because of money. So, Chad might be in the proverbial it's like if Jon Fitch started knocking people out a little bit right before his title shot in the UFC. You know how it took him like 1,000 fights because he's so boring, or he doesn't really finish?
Yep.
Mendez started knocking people out. Anyway, I'm stoked. Chad Mendez is badass. And Clay Guida is awesome, too. And to see them have a nice long fight with a finish, that's badass. It's a great one. Excited to see what Chad Mendez does in the near future.
Yeah, Mike, how impressed were you with Chad Mendez?
Oh yeah, by far. Clay, to knock out Clay Guida, you got to be on top of your game. You got to be sharp, and he looked sharp. He took advantage of with his takedowns and timed his strikes really well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for Chad Mendez.
Yeah, and there are definitely fights there. There are definitely fights there if it's not the title fight.
Yeah, I've just got to say with Chad Mendez, I mean, goddamn, how good is Team Alpha Male since Dwayne Ludwig got there and started showing those guys how to Muay Thai properly, right? I mean, we have really seen an actual change in performance from all their top guys since Dwayne showed up. And I don't know if you guys heard this a little bit, and we can talk about that later in a little bit, but the way Dwayne goes through the videos, and he does this for everyone, so they did this for Guida, they did this for, whoever Faber was fighting recently, just so good against. Did he do? I don't know. Anyway, he did what Dwayne does. So we got, he'll watch the fight totally normal. He'll watch the fight on the Nootropic Alpha Brain, which are on .com product, the brain vitamin, and then he'll watch it stoned.
Yeah.
And he watch the fight all three ways, and I'm just saying, like, it seems like a pretty good technique because it's working like crazy in the UFC.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where everyone's talking about Alpha Male and Dwayne Ludwig, but this is not just a talking point. Like, that is for real. He is changing that camp, a camp of animals anyway, and he is refining them in a way that's going to be pretty tremendous. I mean, they have so many tough guys with Chandler and Faber and Mendez. Like, I mean, that crew's, they're just killers, absolute killers.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see what's happening to Alpha Male. Yep, that's it. Awesome. We're not just to Chad, but to Dwayne in this fight for doing so good there. I hope he keeps up the good work with that team.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we are reaching this half-an-hour mark right here. I'm going to throw out again, if the audience would like to be involved, you can call us in at 347-324-5998. You can hit us on Twitter at Real Combat Media, on Facebook as well. We're going to do a commercial here, and when we come back on the other side, we are going to be talking with UFC Welterweight, who has just signed to fight Josh Koscheck. We're talking about Tyron Woodley when we come back.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
All right. We are back. We are live. And do we have Tyron? Are you on the line?
I am on the line. How you guys doing?
Oh, very good. Welcome to Real Combat Media MMA Radio. My name is Isaac Lamford. I'm also joined by my co-host David Hewlett, and Michael Wurst is on our panel here. We're very thankful that you agreed to come talk to us on this holiday. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming. Tyron, you I'm looking over your career, and what I love is you go in 8-1 in Strikeforce. You come into the UFC with about the most explosive debut a person can have, with a 36-second knockout of a very tough veteran. And although the next fight was a stumble, it might have been the best type of loss to Jake Shields because your boss didn't think it was a loss, and that pays off pretty good. Now you've got another big name. You're going to be fighting Josh Koscheck coming up. Is that correct?
That's correct, man. I think for me it was, not a blessing in disguise, but sometimes you got to have those type of fights. I felt as if I won, but, in hindsight, I still needed to do more. And I think Josh Koscheck is the type of guy that's going to make me bring out the tools I need to get the job done. And, he would have been a good next opponent, even in victory, over Jake Shields. So, this is not a step backwards, actually a step forward. So I'm going to go out here, man. I'm going to put it all out there. And I think if I can do that each fight, I think I'll come out, in the win column.
Yeah, you definitely are not looking for easy fights in the UFC, are you?
No, man. I think, if you look at it in this perspective, each guy from, the number one guy to number 25 and 30, these guys are all tough and they all pose different threats. So for me, my goal is to be a champion. So I'm looking at guys that are in my weight class that have a recognizable name that I match up well with. They all are going to be risks. They all are going to be tough guys. There's no easy wins in the welterweight division. So for me, I'm just trying to basically pave a way where I can go and I can put myself in position to always be 1 or 2 fights away from a world title. And I think taking fights against guys like, Perrin and Shields and Koscheck and put my name in for several other fights, that I think those type of victories are going to put me right in the spot for a world title.
Right. My big question, when you sign to fight a guy like Koscheck, do you have to prepare yourself any more mentally because you know how the pre-fight talk is going to go, or is it just another opponent?
No, he's not going to talk crap this fight, I don't think. And if he does, I know he really doesn't have any true authentic beef with me. He's always respect me. I always respect him. Some fights don't need a lot of talking. Paul Daly was notorious for talking, and when we fought, he did no crap talking. So I think in this particular situation, You know, he just knows I'm coming, I'm hungry, I need to win. He's coming, he's hungry, he needs to win. This is a must-win for both of us, and I think that type of pressure is going to make us come out there and perform hard.
Yeah, you mentioned the Paul Daly fight. I actually was live to see that one, and, I mean, you put on an absolute clinic in that fight. You still with us, Tyron?
No, did we lose him?
Nah, Tyron, you still there?
Yeah, I'm sure. I thought you muted me, but my phone went up to the Bluetooth in my car.
Oh no, right
on. You
on.
were talking about the Paul Daly fight. You know?
Yeah, and just, I mean, you smothered the man. You didn't give him an inch.
Yeah, you know, Paul Daly, you know, he was trying to talk a different game. Some guys, you know, you got to have different game plans against different guys. And, you know, my plan was to surprise him with some striking, which I did, to get really close, throw hands, set up takedowns, beat him around, and really just frustrate him because he's a guy that's consistently been frustrated in fights, and he hasn't done very well with adversity. So it was my job to try to basically put adversity into the equation and then try to get his butt out of there. You know, he hit me with some. If you were in the cage, it was kind of funny. It was funny, but wasn't funny. I grabbed his shorts, or something happened where McCarthy was trying to break it up. He said, "All right, guys, bring it up." And then he just moved back and then kept punching like he never heard it. So you know, it was some weird stuff that happened in that fight. But all in all, it was a good victory for me, and it put me on a good path to take guys with bigger names.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that style that you implemented in that fight, like we've seen some Koscheck fights here recently where his fight against Pierce and his fight against Hendricks, where when somebody really pushed it on him and kept him against the cage, he really had problems in those fights.
Yeah, you know, my teammate Thiago Alves fought him as well, and I helped him prep for that fight. You know, he actually did a lot better against Thiago than I expected, but the key to fighting him, the key to doing well against him is you have to basically pressure him. You have to hit him hard. You gotta make him feel it. If you go out there and you let him get into his rhythm, if you let him, you know, basically move in and out and, you know, get takedowns on you. You know, he's a tough guy. He got a lot of experience in the cage, but if you go on there and hit him with a solid hard hand, stop his shots, make him pay, put him against the cage, you can make it a long night for him. But if you sit back, you let him get in his rhythm, man, you know, he thrives off that. He feels it and he smells blood. And you know, I'm not gonna be giving out drops of blood from this man. I'm gonna be pressing forward and, you know, trying to get his butt out of there.
Yeah, great. I'm gonna hand over the mic to my co-host David Hewlett here. David, do you have any questions here for Tyron?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Tyron?
Yeah, you know, David.
Yeah, doing all right, man. I was gonna ask about Paul Daly because someone actually about 6 months ago asked me if I wanted to fight him in a Korean show, and so I was like, all right, well, I should find out what I can know about him. But he seems, what was the hype leading up to that? And side question, unrelated, do you think that Paul Daly is the type of guy that does not like to be pressured? Because that seems to be the game plan that works with him. You're a wrestler, though. Like, you're good. You know what I mean? Like, as far as the wrestling goes, like, pressure people up against the fence. How did that work out for you in the fight?
Well, Paul Daly just wants to strike. And actually, to be honest,
right.
You know, people that when you bring a wrestler into mixed martial arts and other guys are just strikers, then all of a sudden people start abusing the term world-class wrestlers. If you haven't made a world team, if you haven't made an Olympic team, if you haven't done something international that classifies you as a world-class wrestler, I'm not a world-class wrestler. I'm a good wrestler, but I've never made a world team. I've never made an Olympic team. So when you strike against Paul Daly, I've had sparring sessions against guys that are better than him in striking. Pro boxers,
sure,
pro Muay Thai guys, Thiago Alves. So in my opinion, he's not the greatest striker. He just was a good striker. So in his realm, if you put him against Bada Hari and all these crazy Muay Thai guys, he'll probably get picked apart. So for me, it was not to identify that he was a good striker, but it was basically to, you know, prepare.
I think we might have lost.
I can. Hey, is he there still, or I don't know?
I think we lost you again, Tyron.
Oh, that sucks. Can we get him back?
Maybe. I still got him on the site here. Hello? There's something going on over there.
Yeah, he's here somewhere. He's all pixelated.
Nah, it's all right. Here, we'll throw it to a commercial here, and we'll see if we can get this figured out.
This is Real Combat
Tyron
Media
Woodley.
Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
Oh, we're not back on right now?
Nah. All right, we are back on. We do have Tyron Woodley back on the line. You are with us, correct, Tyron?
I am with you guys.
All right, good. We got it taken care of. And Mike, you were still on board as well?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
All right, we're here. All right, David, you have more questions here? We're gonna try to do non-Paul Daly related questions for the rest of the interview.
Yeah.
Well, Paul Daly got to get back to the UFC. He needs to send a box of chocolates and some roses to Dana White and get back in there, and then he'll be, a worthy topic to talk about.
Oh, God. He might come through this the PTT actually out here in Phuket. So I'll let you know if there's a possibility to get him on the show. I'd love to find out I'd love to pick his brain about some stuff.
I personally, this is my opinion on the kid. I think he should be in the UFC. I think people have done way worse in the UFC than he's done. I think people, don't bring as much charisma, bring as much drama, bring as much crap talking as he does. I think that he does a lot for the sport. I think he sells fights. I think he knocks people out. And I think, he should be in the UFC. That's my actual opinion on Paul Daly.
Well, it's like a PR thing, right? Yeah, like you can't have somebody like blatantly break the rules like publicly the way he did, and then not do anything to him publicly. I'm with you though. I think he's still that level. I think that he's way more exciting and way better than a huge chunk of the welterweight division, and he's you can't act like Dana White gives a fuck that he tried to sucker punch somebody on TV. That's awesome for him. You know what I mean? Every time someone goes nuts on Ultimate Fighter, that's money in his pocket. He loves that shit. But he's got PR too. You know what I mean?
I think we'll see him back in the UFC with time.
Yeah, most likely we will. David, do you have anything else for Tyron?
Good luck. Good luck in this fight with Koscheck. It's gonna be exciting. I love seeing these matchups, like this particular one where you have two people that have similar skill sets, but it's like how are they going to put everything together, and both you guys are sort of like in the same, like you guys are in similar places where you have like really like solid high level records, and then you fought like a couple of monsters your last couple of outings. Like both you guys have had a couple of tough fights recently, but that's against like some of the best of the best. And aside from that, we're looking at just like two really tough fighters that are generally wrestling based, although like you said, like that's you got to mix it up for any kind of fight. It's gonna be a good matchup. I'm looking forward to it. Just another good one on some cool cards coming up. But you and Koscheck is exciting. So good luck in that fight. You know, it's good to meet you, and I hope your camp goes well. You don't get hurt or anything, and you know everything goes according to plan.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, it's a tough fight. I think, for me, I was actually excited about it. Excited about fighting on the same card as GSP Hendricks and Rory McDonald and Robbie Lawler, showcasing a great performance on that card.
Oh, being on that card,
put my name right back in the hat.
That's a huge.
And then also, I honestly believe I just do everything. You know, he's good at every area. I'm good at every area. I do believe in each area. I'm just a little bit faster. I'm just a little bit stronger. I hit a little bit harder. I'm a little bit better on the ground, and I think that the wrestling is going to neutralize itself. I don't think either one of us is going to rack up 50,000 takedowns. But I mean, him being a national champion wrestler is not going to stop me from taking him down. You know, I'm going to get him on the ground. Score those points, and I think he's going to try to do the same to me.
Yeah, most likely. All right, Mike Wurst, you have the floor.
Hey, Tyron, it's Mike. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Hey, no problem, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, what did you learn about yourself from the Jake Shields fight that you can take with you and take forward in the Koscheck fight and into the future?
I mean, it's a fight. You just got to fight. You know, I just made him miss everything, and I didn't make him pay for anything. You know, he
hey guys, I'm having some audio problem. I can't hear anybody.
All right,
can you hear me now?
I'll take care of you.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh no. If you guys can hear each other, keep going. But I'm having some.
We'll take care of you, David. Mike,
I was saying that, in that fight, I needed to do more. I needed to basically take all the tools out of the box and, put them to work. You know, I can't have gifts and ability and great training and good training partners and coaches and God on my side and all these things working for me, and then I go out there and I do enough to win, but I didn't do enough to put them away. So they just basically let me know that from now on, every fight I have to, do everything. I have to do all the striking, all the kicking, all the punching, all the counters, all the takedowns, and I got to put myself in a position where, I'm exerting myself each round, and I think that's what I learned the most from that camp. And to be focused and avoid distractions and really keep my eyes on the prize, on what's important, and working to the top.
How frustrating is it for you to train up until that fight? And then, because I know for me personally, I'm a big fan, and I've been following you for a while, and it seemed like you just never got going. How frustrating is it? Or do you get frustrated when you can't really, you come into a fight with a game plan and you just can't execute that game plan?
A lot of people, always give you, oh, man, it'll be okay. Hey, man, you'll be back in there. Even Dana White said you didn't lose. Don't worry about it. You'll come back stronger. That's great in college athletics. That's great in high school athletics. But when you're fighting for a step closer to the title, when you're fighting for money, when you're fighting for, basically a long training camp, and you got things that are relying, families and businesses and coaches that are relying on you to win, so everybody moves forward. It's a little frustrating, but I think I know why I fell short, and all I can do is fix those areas in training and in life, and then, basically the next time around, I'll just do what I did well, and I'll do that better, and I'll add to it. Yeah,
exactly. Is there any one thing that concerns you about Josh Koscheck? Is there anything that, something that you're concerned about, whether, crown?
Not really. I mean, like I said before, everybody's dangerous. I mean, Josh Koscheck doesn't make me get butterflies or anything. I think he throws it really hard overhand right. If you let him, push you against the cage, he's going to capitalize. He's not very flexible, so if he throws high kicks, I'm going to look to, kick his other leg out like I did Jake. And if I get a chance to land a hard hand on him, I will. Hopefully, I'm going to look at some video and some tape and see if I can find some other openings. Obviously, GSP jabbed him until he broke his orbital bone, so I think utilizing the jab will be important. But really, it's just fighting. I think that when you take risks, you open up opportunities for scrambles, and you open up opportunities for you to be successful when you're really conservative, like I've been in, several fights. When you get a clean shot, it's there, but if you don't, sometimes you're waiting on that clean shot, and it may never come. I think, in Jake fight, I was waiting on a clean right hand. I didn't see it. And in this fight, I just plan on making those opportunities come by, being active.
Yeah. So both of you have seems like pretty good backgrounds in wrestling. I think you're, like you mentioned earlier, I think you've got them just a little bit in the wrestling area. But do you try to, when you got somebody that has similar skills as you, do you try to mix it up, or do you just try to go with what your strengths are?
Well, sometimes if you got a grappler, like I fought a couple grapplers like Jake and Andre Navarro, and if I thought I was a better striker, I'm like, why the hell am I going to take it to the ground? They're not going to knock me out. There's no threat as far as striking. So for me, sometimes that's the case. In this case, he's knocked people out. He's submitted people. He's taken people down. So I can't just lean towards one thing. I got to be a complete fighter in this fight, and I got to just be active. He's a guy that's probably one of the best conditioned guys as far as cardio in our division. He's always in shape. He's always ready for a fight on 2 to 3 weeks' notice, and that's why he's been put in the position that he has. Made a lot of money, just because he's always ready. And I think this is going to be a case where he has a lot of notice. He's going to be in great shape. He's going to train hard. And, I got to go out there and I got to be ready, to go a long fight or a short fight. Either way I go, I got to be ready mentally that this kid's going to be pushing. He's not coming out here to go slow. He's going to be coming out here to go hard. And just like any other wrestler would, he's going to have that wrestler's pace.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to the fight, and I wish you the best of luck, and I appreciate you joining us tonight, Tyron.
Oh, I appreciate it, guys. If you guys can follow me on Twitter, at TW3Os, DLEY, TWOOODLEY. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook. Stay tuned. There's going to be a lot coming this year.
Yeah, right on. Thank you very much, and we will see you November 16th against Josh Koscheck. Thank you very much. It's a holiday, and you took time to talk to us. That means a lot to us.
All right, no problem. Good luck with everything, guys. Have me back on in the future.
Fantastic. Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, that was good. I'm thrilled that on this show we got so many guys to come on and actually talk. It's a holiday, and I know that I'd feel inconvenienced maybe if I was them, so I'm glad that they took the time. You still with me here, Mike?
Yeah, I'm still with you. Yeah.
All right, yeah, right on. And I think we had David. We had some problem with David, but you were back on with us. Is that correct? You there, David?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that.
My apologies. You didn't get to say goodbye to Tyron, but he's gone now. But he thanked us and he said he'd come back on in the future, maybe after his fight with Koscheck. We'll get to talk to him again.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic, actually. And I think that he's got a great chance against Josh Koscheck. I think that he's the type of fighter that gives Josh Koscheck the most problems.
I think that you're probably right. When I was really thinking about the matchup, I'm like, man, he's sort of like, when both these guys were at the top of where they have been at the respective points in their careers, I would say Tyron looks a bit like a Diet Koscheck in the skill set department. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I understand, yeah.
Well, because Koscheck has all these wrestling accolades and Tyron doesn't. Koscheck has these knockouts and Tyron doesn't, but they both have similar victories over equal level competition, and they both have similar losses recently against similar level competition. So it seems like it's really evenly matched, but I think that Tyron's going to have to dip down into the MMA bag of tricks a little bit more than Koscheck is in order to pull this one out, but he's totally within his reach. I think it's going to be a really interesting fight to see. I'm always interested to see how people choose to fight Josh Koscheck. That's something that I've always enjoyed. Some people try to strike with him. Some people try to wrestle him back. Some people try to jiu-jitsu him. Some people just try to hold him off. Koscheck's one of those guys. He's really, really high level. You can't fuck up against him. But he's also fucked up a couple times too. He had, like the Drew Fickett fight, like his fight with what happened? I feel like he's messed up in a couple other things too. Yeah, you see stuff like that. It's all Paulo Thiago was the other one I was thinking about.
Right.
These things happen. So he's a very intriguing matchup as like a super elite welterweight, but that has like these holes that, like, can you exploit them? Will they be able to get to his chin? Will they be able to get him down? Like, how is this guy going to approach the question of Josh Koscheck? And the fact that Tyron is fighting and makes it intriguing, the fact that we can talk to him, you know, pick his brain about what goes into that process, that's what's really interesting to me. It sucks I got cut off.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Little technical issues all the way around. He was having something going on with his phone. I think he was in his car. Is that what he said? Because there were some car-like sounds happening in the background.
Yeah, something about Bluetooth.
Yeah.
That's never good.
No, I've never used one of those things. The technology intimidates me a little bit, I have to be honest. Mike, do you think Tyron is going to take out Josh Koscheck? Do you think that's a good fight for him?
Yeah, I think it's a good fight because I watched his last fight against Jake Shields, and you kind of, when you're rooting for a fighter, when you got a favorite, you're kind of waiting for him just to kind of unleash and go after it. And it was just kind of, he never got there. So I know he had to be frustrated after that decision. So I think he's going to come back a lot better, a lot quicker. And like David said, I think he's going to have to use every tool in his bag to take out Koscheck. But it's going to be a really good fight.
Yeah, I agree. You know, one question I wanted to ask him, but I didn't want to eat up all of his time. I mean, I know he's already, you know, going into promoting this Josh Koscheck fight, and we talked to him a lot about Paul Daly. And but I wanted to ask about Jake Shields. Like, Jake Shields, there must be something tricky about that guy's stand-up, because when you watch it on television, it looks terrible, and you think he'd be getting knocked out all the time. But then all these guys seem to have, like, guys that are decent strikers, and George St. Pierre was talking about how Jake Shields is the most dangerous guy that he's fought, like, and it just doesn't translate through the television. I needed to hear somebody's firsthand experience there.
Yeah, it looks a little sloppy.
Go ahead. Go on there.
Yeah, I was just going to say it looks a little sloppy, but you know, when the announcers, you know, they were saying, well, how come Tyron's not doing anything? Well, he's obviously heard, you know, Jake Shields is a top class striker, so he doesn't want to get caught with that one shot. But like you said, Isaac, it just doesn't translate to the TV. It's just kind of like, somebody come on already, you know. But it like you said, it just doesn't translate. So I would have liked to have heard his answer to that question.
Yeah, do you have something to say on that as well, David?
I forgot what we were talking about.
It's kind of like watching a Jake Shields fight. No offense, Jake Shields. We were just talking about Jake Shields stand-up, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, like, yeah, apparently his stand-up, because I was saying the same thing around the time when he fought GSP, and people were telling me that, like, you know, his stand-up's really good. It just looks bad. And so, you know, it's not real, like, aesthetically pleasing the way that he throws strikes, you know. It's not super pretty. But he's apparently really good. I mean, he closed GSP's eye. There's a lot of really good strikers that weren't able to really affect GSP's vision in a fight.
Yeah. We're gonna take a commercial here for a second. When we come back, I'm gonna play the interview that I had with Josh Burkman earlier today. We still got a lot of stuff to get through as we head into the second hour here. So let's get some product placement in here so that we can all keep this thing rolling. It is coming, don't worry.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT. on the banner at Real Combat Media Store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
All right, we are back here, Real Combat Media MMA Radio. And I was going to point out before, David, the Alpha Brain you were talking about, Dwayne Lugwood, is actually, the website's got it in the online store.
Yeah, I saw that. Are we like a satellite? Is that like a satellite sponsor or whatever for this show?
Yeah, I mean, I know that they have a partnership with Real Combat Media.
Well, that's awesome. They do. I will tell you, I use a lot of the On It products, and they are all legit. They're all really, really good. And if you live in the United States, like if you don't live in the United States, I like the stuff so much that I have it mailed to Asia so that I can get it. But if you live in the United States, I did a month of the Total Primate Care, which is their multivitamin pack. They've got a pack in the day and a pack in the night they take, and it is the best vitamin I've ever taken. It's incredible. It's like a collection of several of the different things. I'm a huge fan of the Alpha Brain. It works really, really good. It's the best I can, I've noticed it mostly when I do jiu-jitsu, because when you do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you're always trying to think like a couple steps ahead of your opponent. And when you take Alpha Brain, you do jiu-jitsu, I found myself gassing. And it's not because of my conditioning so much as the fact that it's because my brain is running twice as fast as it usually does, and I'm trying to make myself do more shit than I'm used to doing, so my body can't keep up because I'm thinking like 10 steps ahead instead of 3.
Man, I got to ask David, are you getting some sort of sponsorship money that I'm not getting? Because that was one hell of a testimony.
I'm not. I would love an On It sponsorship so bad. Their products really are like my favorite. Like I take Alpha Brain, I take the Total Primate Care, like I said, and whatever I can get, like when I get stuff shipped over. In the States, I would take it probably all the time, but I don't really live there, so can't. So it's just a matter of like, what can I get shipped out to Thailand right now? But it really is badass. It's a human optimization website more than anything else. It's fantastic. They do really, really quality products.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going into now. I had the privilege earlier today. I had a phone call conversation with the People's Warrior, Josh Burkman, World Series of Fighting, standout welterweight, coming off the first-round submission of Jon Fitch, looking like a stud in the past few years. And we talked a little bit, about the Jon Fitch fight and what he has coming up, and I'm going to play that now. And Mike and David, I apologize. You're going to have to sit here and listen to my voice for about 18 minutes here, but I think there's some pretty good stuff in the interview, so here we go.
All right.
Hey, Josh, thanks for being on the show, man. How you doing today?
Good, bro. Just got done doing a little training, picked up my phone. Now we're all good.
Yeah, right on. You do anything for the Labor Day holiday?
We had some family stuff over the weekend, and we got my mom's having a summer-ending barbecue this afternoon, so family time with some barbecuing, and that's about it. How about you?
Pretty much the same for me. I grilled out a little bit with my wife and my daughter.
Very nice.
So I want to talk about the Jon Fitch fight a little bit, if that's all right with you. Can we do that?
Yeah, no problem.
All right. There was a bit of a controversy, people complaining about the choke and all that sort of thing. Do you think that was blown out of proportion?
About the choke being let go and Mazzagatti?
Right.
Yeah, I think that, I think it was blown out of proportion a little bit, but I see both sides of the issue. I tell everybody, listen, I was with Mazzagatti backstage, he knew I had it handled, so don't be too hard on me. And,
Yeah.
What's that?
I was going to say, I didn't feel like it was like a Babalu situation where it was a ridiculous choke that wasn't let go. It may have been a little long, but I don't think Jon Fitch's life was in danger or anything.
I think what the problem was, the reason it got blown out of proportion is because the choke happened so fast, and Mazzagatti didn't have a chance to get down in there. But just the fact that Jon Fitch went to sleep, and that choke is a dangerous choke when you're off to the side. And I think the problem that was raised is that Mazzagatti was out of position. That he should have been at least down there checking Jon Fitch. He should have maybe been on the other side where Jon Fitch's head was on.
And it's just the fact that he was out of position and not even down there checking on it. And I think that's why, he kind of got what he got. And but I think it was a little blown out of proportion. But I also do think, fighter safety is number one, and you should definitely, anytime anybody is in a potential choke, you should be down there checking on them.
Right, and what you're saying is right. I feel like whenever something happens with Steve Mazzagatti in particular, it typically gets kind of blown out of proportion because he's got that reputation.
Yeah, I don't know Steve Mazzagatti's history in the UFC. I know that Dana was saying that he put fighters' careers and legacies on, in jeopardy and ruined them. I don't know the full story. I think the number one thing here is that anytime something like that happens, it should raise the issue of fighter safety. Fighter safety should always be the number one thing. And if referees need to be put in check, or things need to happen to make them in the right position and doing the right things, then I don't think that's ever wrong. And this is a very dangerous sport. It's always important to make sure everybody's doing their job and nobody's getting too comfortable.
Now, what I want to know from you is, do you consider this Jon Fitch win to be the biggest win of your career so far?
Yeah, I think that it was. I think, Jon Fitch just being who he was, and being a perennial, top 10, and, being, doing what he did in the UFC, and I think it was definitely the biggest win of my career, And so as fighters, all our fights are always the biggest fights of our career, so. But this one definitely seems to have, with everything that, people are talking about it being, submission of the year and just the things that it's set up for me, there's definitely not been a more rewarding victory to date.
Now, yeah, when Jon Fitch was signed with World Series of Fighting, a lot of people were calling for him to get an immediate title shot and all that sort of thing. And so when he came over, was that a fight that you asked for, or did they present that fight to you?
Well, what happened is I didn't even know that was going to happen, until my fight was over with Aaron Simpson. And then they said, hey, this fight with Jon Fitch, it's going to happen. And I said, wait a minute, we got to talk about this, And the reason that I thought maybe Jon Fitch should go fight someone, establish himself in the organization, and it would have been a great title fight for me and him to fight after he won a fight. And they had already told the fans that they wanted the fight to happen. They restructured my contract and made me a little bit happier and rewarded me and gave me some incentives for taking the fight with Fitch, and I was more than happy to do it. I wanted that fight with Fitch. I thought there was a way that we could make it for the title, and they just wanted to have the fight right away, and I was fine to oblige.
Now, right now the talk has been for a little while that you're going to be fighting Steve Carl for that welterweight title. Is that just talk? Is that rumors? Or is that fight actually going to be happening?
They're going to come out with our fight this week, and I think you're the first person I'm telling that, I signed the contract, and they're going to start promoting that this week. So, me and Steve Carl will be fighting in October for the belt.
Now, Steve Carl, he's a guy here, he's on a serious roll of wins. He's really got a lot going right now. He had a little bit of a shaky career in Bellator, but he seems to have really gotten things together and definitely deserves this title fight. But do you feel that he has never faced a fighter like you before with your experience?
I think, what you said exactly. Steve Carl's on a roll. He wants to step up in competition. I think that he knows that he's doing that. And, but he's definitely in that spot. He's won 6 fights in a row, all by submission. His last 2 fights, all in the first, quick stops in the first round against tough competitors. So, I think that Steve Carl's definitely earned this shot, and he's got a lot of fights, and he's very crafty. I know I got a good one ahead of me.
Yeah, I have to think that for Carl, this is a good thing for his career, win or lose, getting to fight someone like you and getting that experience under his belt. Even a loss to Josh Burkman is still going to be a definite benefit for this kid.
Yeah, I think him just getting this fight is good for him, and I think him losing this fight is going to be, just to be in a really good place for his career. So I think, I think, but again, I just, you can't look past anybody in this sport. You never know, when a guy's on a roll like Steve Carl's on, and being on a roll like that makes so much confidence, and he's very relaxed, and those fighters are really dangerous. So, again, you got to always respect your opponents and never look past them. And I'm definitely preparing as good as I can for this fight.
So when does training camp start for you then for this fight?
For me, training camps don't really start and stop anymore. I really believe that when I was in the UFC, I was a fighter, and the definition of fighter is to struggle. And I would get in shape during camp, and I would get out of shape when I was not in camp. And now that I'm back home in Utah with Pit Elevated, I always, I'm helping my teammates get ready for fights, and that keeps me ready. And so I tweak things a little as my fight gets closer. But now I believe I'm a true mixed martial artist, and that means I'm always in the gym and always trying to get better.
Yeah, and I have always heard that about you. I know that you're a guy constantly in the gym. I imagine just a little tweak here and there, and then you're ready for fight night.
Yeah, I make little tweaks to my training and my camp, and but again, it's more about focus and cutting other things in my life out. I also, I have a gym and I do other things, and I have people step up and take those roles. And as my fight gets closer and closer, I pretty much try to focus on nothing but the fight itself.
Now, I look over your career here, and since 2009, you've gone 8-1. Really, very few stumbles, and I just wonder, what was the difference here between 2008 and 2009 for you?
There's a lot. I think a couple of the main things, though, is when I was in the UFC towards the end of my career, I was injured. I had a herniated disc in my neck, some bulging discs in my back, and they were, I was really in the gym only twice a week, and can compete at the level, of the UFC against other professional fighters. That just, you have to be able to train like a professional fighter, and I wasn't able to do that. And, I don't think that, so people are trying to judge me off that, but I think what a lot of people don't know is just how injured I was. So but I loved to fight, so I would just show up and fight. So I think the bigger difference now is that I've been able to go through a process of healing my back and getting, knowing what was wrong with my back and training like I should be able to train. And I don't get to train as hard, but I'm able to train smarter, and just being healthy is probably the number one thing. And then, I also, besides being healthy, I got married 2 years ago and had a little boy that's 10 months old. And, when I getting married is just, all that selfishness and rebelliousness that I had that distracted me from being in the gym and being a great fighter, those things went away. And then when we had a little boy, that just, gave me so more to fight for. And I really believe that those things have brought out the best in me and in my training.
Yeah, I absolutely believe so. I know for me, my daughter's 3 years old, and that family, the change that it makes in your life is absolutely incredible. Yeah,
like I said, I was, fighting was I was working so hard, and it meant everything, and and I was really about myself and getting myself in the best place I could. And when we had our little boy, it just took those things away, and it just filled me with so much more lighter. And I really think that I definitely have to give credit to being a father and being a husband, and not being so selfish, and has really helped me train better, train smarter, structure my life, and become a better mixed martial artist.
You mentioned before people's perceptions about your time in the UFC, and I just have to ask, having been in the UFC and then kind of went through different organizations, and now obviously you found a home to be happy with World Series of Fighting. But do you see this as the second coming of your career, or do you see where you're at right now as being the peak of your career?
No, I think that, it's definitely, when I started this road back from my injury, I said this is going to be one of the greatest comebacks in mixed martial arts ever. And the reason I said that is because I knew where I got in the UFC without really living up to my potential. And when I came back, I knew that I was a better fighter than I ever was in the UFC, and I was going to continue to get better. I think that now, I know the next 3 years are the best part of my career. And I don't know that people understand it right now, and they're watching, and they're like, oh, he choked Fitch, and he beat Aaron Simpson, and, I had a decent win over Gerald Pettis. but I believe in a couple of years when people look back, they're going to be like, wow. I mean, that was an incredible comeback, But right now, as I'm going through it, I don't think people see it, the way that it's going to end. But at the end of this, I expect to be, the best fighter in the world in our weight class.
Well, I mean, judging by your last couple of fights, I'd say you're definitely on a strong road to getting there. My question for you, though, is World Series of Fighting, do they have, I know you're not looking past Steve Carl, but if you do beat him, you have that belt, does World Series of Fighting have the fighters for you to continue on that road, or are they going to have to start signing guys for you to fight?
I think that, right now, I mean, if you look at the welterweights that the World Series of Fighting has, there's a lot of really good ones. The unfortunate part is they stacked it, they put them all against me and I beat them. Aaron Simpson, if you look at the last 3 guys I've fought, Gerald Harris, Aaron Simpson, and Jon Fitch, none of those guys lost in the UFC. Every one of them had winning records in the UFC. I think Harris was 3-1, Aaron Simpson was 7-4, Jon Fitch was 13-4, whatever he was. So these are not guys that didn't succeed in the UFC. They're guys that the UFC just didn't want to pay money anymore. You had guys coming in from the Ultimate Fighter that would fight for 5 and 5, where Jon Fitch wanted $100,000. Aaron Simpson, he wanted, $34,000 and $34,000, and so it just wasn't worth them to pay these guys the money anymore. And I think that you have more Ultimate Fighter shows and other guys coming in, and top talent's going to get released. I think, didn't Nick Diaz just get released from the UFC too?
If he has, I haven't heard about it, but I know it's shaky ground. He's talking about never fighting again. I'm not really sure what's going on over there.
All right. Well, so I just think there's definitely going to be talent out there that I can face that's going to be quality opponents that are going to make me a better mixed martial artist. And the World Series of Fighting has gone out and proves they're going to go out and get, top talent. So I definitely think that I'll have the fights that I need to have to be able to continue to climb that ladder, and I think the World Series of Fighting is just barely scratching the ground. They have really good people running this company, and they're going to be around for a while, and I'm excited to be a part of the organization.
Yeah, the production of the cards has looked really good, and the talent is definitely there on the roster for World Series of Fighting. I think more than anything, depth is the question, but like you said, this is just the beginning.
Right, yeah, I mean, we're only on the 5th show, fighting for the title on the 6th show, and, like you said, the depth will continue to grow, and I really truly believe that there's great fighters outside of the UFC. The majority of the best fighters are in the UFC. There's still plenty of talent outside of it. Look at Dana White said, I guarantee you that Jon Fitch will go out and beat any champion in any organization. And I was kind of like, them saying, listen, we got all the best fighters. But obviously, Dana White was wrong. Because Dana White Jon Fitch came out and he definitely didn't beat me. You know what I mean? And so, obviously, there's a higher level of talent outside of the UFC than even Dana White thinks.
Yeah, and I know that for me as a fan, that Jon Fitch fight was kind of bittersweet because I kind of wanted him to go off and win a bunch of fights to prove that he should not have been let go by the UFC. But then on the other hand, he goes over and it shows that there are good fighters still existing outside of that one promotion, and it's a great thing for the sport.
Yeah, again, not everybody's best part of their career is in the UFC, Some of us get into the Ultimate Fighter when we're real young, just starting to figure things out. A lot comes at you with making, the kind of money that the UFC is paying you and bonuses and, the fame that comes with that. And that's structure, and sometimes you need to step away from that and reevaluate your life and your career and you come back better. I think that's what happened to me. Anthony Johnson is kind of going through the same thing right now. And, so I don't think that the guys are just at their best in the UFC. There's definitely a life outside of that. And that's what I'm trying to prove in my career, is that, anybody can make a comeback and you need it, and you just self-belief is very powerful. And my goal in this whole process is to prove that one of the best fighters in the world is not in the UFC.
Sure. The last question I want to ask you is kind of a fantasy thing. If there was one fighter in your weight class, beyond the promotional lines, if you could make it happen, is there one guy that you need to fight before your career is over?
Yeah, his name is George St. Pierre.
I had a feeling that's what you say.
I'm watching these fighters, and I'm watching some of these fighters watch me, and it's amazing to me that the fighters at the highest level don't understand what I'm doing yet. And, and they're asking me, Burkman, what are you doing? What are you doing here? And I just think that, you got to continue to evolve in this sport. And, I think that I'm doing that right now, and I think that right now I can compete with the top 3, 4, 5 welterweights in the world. Unfortunately for me, it's going to take a while for me to be able to prove that, and the right situation and circumstances are going to have to come around. But if I could have any fight right now, it would be against George St. Pierre, and I promise you, I would shock everybody if I got that matchup.
All right, well, Josh, man, thank you very much for taking time out of your holiday to sit down and talk with us. We really do appreciate it, and we're definitely looking forward to that Steve Carl fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt, Isaac. Thank you very much, and let me know when this plays, and if there's anywhere I can put it out there for you, then I'll do so.
Yeah, do you want to plug your Twitter or anything to the listeners before you go?
Yeah, my Twitter is just @Josh Burkman. My fan page on Facebook is also @Josh Burkman. And, just continue to follow the World Series of Fighting. I'll be fighting for the belt, World Series of Fighting 6, so, check that out. This organization is new, it's good for the sport, and it's going to help continue to take care of the fighters and the fans. So make sure to watch that fight against Steve Carl.
Awesome, Josh. Thank you very much, man. Take care of that wife and baby.
All right, brother, I will. You do the same.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, we are back on. That was myself sitting down with the People's Warrior, Josh Burkman, talking. We got a little scoop there. The Steve Carl fight is happening in October. That's signed deal. They're going to be fighting for the welterweight title. That's exciting. Good fight for the two of them.
I'm not super familiar with the champion of World Series of Fighting, but I kind of agree with what Fitch said there at the not Fitch, what Burkman was saying there at the end, where he was talking about how he feels like even the high-level guys now are still asking him what he's doing in fights, what do you do in this position, what are you doing there? And, look, the way he handled Fitch was, like, I know people can be like, oh, well, Fitch just got cut, and so that's why. Dude, Jon Fitch was still Jon Fitch. And then Burkman just, like a boss, like the way he just, like, he dropped him and took that choke, and then he just stood up and walked away. And I don't think that I think that was just so incredibly impressive. That was such an impressive performance that I think it's very possible that with all of his experience and all of his technique that he's got, that he could hang with some of those top guys, and I don't think that what he said is ridiculous when he's saying that he would shock everyone against GSP and stuff like that. I think that's totally possible.
The way he's been looking right now, I'd say anything's possible. I definitely want to see him fighting top-level competition. He's been looking great. We're going to keep this on rolling because we have some previewing to do. We got UFC Fight Night 28, Teixeira versus Bader. UFC's back in Brazil, and this is going to be one of these that here in the States, like, it's going to be airing pretty early. The main card's coming on at 7 o'clock. I like that. That works well for my lifestyle. But a lot of, local well, I call them local. It's an entire country. A lot of Brazilians, a lot of countrymen are fighting on this card that I'm not super familiar with, but that's great because now I get to watch this and be introduced to new faces. Down at the bottom here, we have Sean Spencer against Yuri Villafort, Ivan George or Jorge, I'm not sure how he pronounces, against Keith. Man, these guys are putting me through the ringer here. Keith Zaneski, Elias Silveiro against João Zeferino, Romero Hernandez against Lucas Martins, Felipe Arante against, oh my Lord, these guys. Edmilson, I'm going to get a translator for the next episode. Edmilson.
No, I'm not going to help. I'll be enjoying just listening to you.
Someone should read along with me so that they understand what I'm saying. Ali Balgatinov against Marcus Vincius. Rafael Natal, hey, I know him, against Tor Trong. tour also coming up from the Ultimate Fighter house. Piotr Holman against Francisco Trinaldo, and then Joseph Benavidez against Husiar Formiga, Yushin Okami against Jacare Souza, and the main event, Ryan Bader against Glover Teixeira. The top 3 fights on this card here are a pretty big deal. Anytime Joseph Benavidez is fighting, you know that this is an important fight. This guy's always in a title hunt. He's always right there. And then, of course, the main event, this is a setup fight for Glover Teixeira. I think I don't really like to jump ahead here, but I think that's the idea that we're looking at. I think that Glover Teixeira is being given a fight here, and then Jacare against Okami. That's an appropriate fight, and I think that Jacare is about to show everyone here that he belongs in the UFC middleweight title hunt. Like he's a serious threat. What do you think of these top 3 fights here, David?
Well, I'm glad that you're focused on these top 3 fights. I'm not even going to mess with the other ones. I don't know who these guys are, and I can't pronounce them even if I did. So I'm just going to let that one hang out. But it seems to be a lot of it. Not to just to backtrack, but it seems like a lot of the guys, these characters that were on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil, have they had a second season of that? By the way, do you know? I think so. I think there's been 2. Okay, well, then I guess that would be. Is that where 100% of these guys come from, or not? Like, I don't even. Not everyone, not 100%, but a good portion. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll focus on the top 3. There's so much talent. I've always heard about all the talent in Brazil, and you don't get to really see them showcased because they don't have enough money to go get noticed, basically. Right. But we're starting to see that a lot, which is really cool. As far as the top 3 fights go. Benavidez is really, really good. I don't know who he's fighting. Do you know anything about that? I'm not familiar. I am not familiar with him. I'm going to have to do my research before fight night for sure. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I was trying to click on the thing. But that, if he's in the fight and he's in if he's in the card, then it's going to be an awesome fight. Like if Benavidez has ever been in a fight that was just like, who cares? Right? I mean, like you said, he's always in the title shot. I'm really excited to see Jacare and Okami. I'll say that because Jacare and Okami are both, it's sort of like that Tyron Woodley Koscheck matchup that we were talking about earlier, in the sense that they have very similar, very consistent skill sets. They're not really similar, but they perform real consistently. Like both these guys show up and they kind of do, their whatever their version of competition is every time they show up. Okami with super powerful clinch game and top control with power strikes, and then Okami, and then of course of Souza with being Souza and having the wicked jiu-jitsu and everything. So that's going to be a really exciting fight because they're both like the best. And they're both like not just some of the best, but some of the most athletic people with their respective styles in MMA. So that's going to be a real intriguing fight. As far as title contention and stuff, like what it mean in 85, who cares? It's going to be a cool fight. I'm looking forward to it. And then, so I would say that's the fight that really jumps out on me. And not because Teixeira Bader is not intriguing to me as they're not intriguing as fighters. It's not because of that, but that I think I kind of see what you're saying. Like Teixeira's on a tear. Bader, they're kind of they know he's going to pull a crowd, but and what he really good in title contention in the grand scheme of the title talk. Teixeira fits in there way better than Ryan Bader. So we'll probably, it looks like what you said, Teixeira, they're looking to have Teixeira kind of pass Bader out so they can expose both of them in the division. Hopefully for the UFC perhaps in matchmaking, Bader doesn't win this fight for their sake, because it's going to be real hard to place Glover Teixeira or Bader. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what you're saying with this, where it looks like it's a setup fight. Because the thing is that if Glover beats Ryan, it makes it easier to place Glover and easier to place Ryan, right, in the division. Right. But if Ryan somehow beats Glover, then we are looking at Bucksville, the light heavyweight division, for like the next 6 months, So, we'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun fight no matter what. But for me, I think the most competitive at the main card, based on the 3 fights where I even recognize the name, I would say Jacare against Okami is the more intriguing of the 3. Although I think we'll see a finish with Bader Teixeira, which might be pretty awesome. We'll see. That's going to be a good good fight. I'll be looking forward to that fight. But as far as competitive wise, Souza Okami could be a snooze fest. That could be boring as fuck.
It could. It absolutely has that potential.
Competitively, it's intriguing though. That's all I got on this card.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think that Bader Teixeira is definite fireworks, but as far as real intense matchmaking, it's the co-main event there. Mike, what do you think about this Fight Night 28?
Yeah, I agree with you all. I think I actually went a little step further. I'm actually going to put some predictions out there just for the fun of it.
Yeah, go for it.
I think Teixeira is going to knock Bader out in the 3rd round. I agree with you that I think Jacare Souza and Okami is going to be probably the best fight of the night. I'm actually going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say Jacare Souza is going to submit him in the 2nd round. And then Benavidez, he's fought Dominic Cruz twice and Mighty Mouse. Those were his 3 losses. And Formiga, he's not really fought any of that top quality competition, so I think Benavidez is going to win that fight by unanimous decision.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty. Joseph Benavidez is kind of just like his gym mate Uriah Faber, where if it's not a title fight, you can put your money on those guys, and you don't have to worry too much about it. They don't usually come up short unless it's the biggest fight in the division. So really, I have a feeling this card would be pretty exciting, and I would not be surprised if Jacare pulls a knockout on Okami. His stand-up at times can look great.
No, you think Jacare might knock out Okami? Come on.
Yeah, I'm saying now I said it, and I'm just gonna stand behind it like it's the truth. So if it happens, I said it. No, his hands his boxing has come a long way in the past 3-4 years.
His boxing has. The striking's come a long way, but at the same time, it's not just about being a good striker is not about being able to give a punch only, and you got to be able to take a punch too, or else you're not a good striker. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If every time you touched Paul Daly on the chin, he fell over in a pile of himself, he wouldn't be considered a good striker, even if he was every bit as good as he is on the feet. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Does that mean that Alistair Overeem is not a good striker?
Yeah. That's exactly what that means. That's exactly what that means. Well, look, how can you be a good striker if you can't survive a striking exchange?
Yeah, I guess you do what Alistair did through K1. You just cover your chin and throw single shots. Well,
if you're winning, then you're good. And if you're getting knocked out every fight, then you're not good. You know what I mean? It's not I know he won K1 and all, but let's get real. He hasn't been winning much, and he's got whatever. I don't know, but not talking about Alistair, but yeah, that's we'll see what happens. Yeah, I disagree. I think though that Souza and Okami will be fight of the night. As far as I think that there's so many little Brazilians on this card. There's no way they're not going to have some incredible fights on here, just action packed. I just don't think I've seen a matchup between 2 elite grapplers ever that was fight of the night. Correct me if anything jumps to mind, but in my brain, I'm not seeing. Now look, if Souza decides that he's not going to mess with the grappling of Okami and he decides he wants to strike with him, now we're looking at a really fucking interesting fight. We've got a Souza playing more of a Nick Diaz strategy where he doesn't really give much concern to wrestling, or getting bottom. Of course, not like Okami's going to try and jump into Souza's dart. We could see the worst striking match in history. We could see that too.
Yeah, that potential is definitely there. Hey, I want to throw out our editor, Anthony, has just given me some breaking news. Former UFC champ Sean Shirk officially retires with a record of 36-4-1.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't know that was news.
Well, I mean, it's official. He's officially retired.
Is anyone sitting around like, man, I wish Sean Shirk could be on these cards?
Yeah. Hey,
I haven't seen Art Jemison in a while. I'm bring him up.
You're comparing Sean Shirk to Art Jemison right now. Is that
exactly. My comparisons are impeccable. That's I would say my strong point when it comes to commentary, or my ability to compare one fighter to the match.
You know why I think this is worthy of being news, though? It's a guy who's actually saying, okay, I'm done. And it's so every time he meets somebody, he doesn't have to answer their questions about when he's going to get back in there and when he's going to do it. And I'm sure for him and his family, it's also like closing a door, you know, like you make a decision. You don't have to think about it anymore. You made it. You're done with it.
Yeah, he's probably sick of people asking him stuff, you know, and can you imagine like having a tiny little muscled up real estate agent and people are like, hey, what did you do before you got into this? Like, oh yeah, I did a little UFC. Can you imagine what Sean Shirk looks like in a fucking like suit and tie trying to sell you a house? Can you imagine that? Like Chael Sonnen, I get it, because Chael's like, you know, he's this all-American, like, you know, tall, like, you know, big alpha dude. But Sean Shirk's like this little like he's a mini alpha. He's like he's like the you know, like the French bulldog of the real estate cage fighter bulldogs.
That's funny. You know, like while you're commenting on people's appearance and you mentioned Chael Sonnen, I just have to throw out Chael Sonnen to me looks like the villain from like an Adam Sandler movie. He's like the guy who steals the goofball's girlfriend.
He's Shooter McGavin.
Yeah, exactly.
I can so see that. He's not. He's a bit traditional looking. I think maybe to pull off like God, he could pull it off though. He does. He's almost like he's got this sense of political awareness about him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like for all his nonsense, you could broadcast everything Chael Sonnen says on well, not everything. That's not necessarily accurate, but you could broadcast a huge chunk of what he says on like mainstream news and not get in trouble with the FCC. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't talk about, like he's just very like he has this brutally effective political delivery system when it comes to his ability to talk, and that motherfucker could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Yeah, he's definitely he's got it. He's good. Like Chael Sonnen, I have to admit, like I was not on board for a long time, but the way that the way he's been handling these commentary positions is fantastic. He's a different person when he's not promoting Chael Sonnen and he's promoting the business. A completely different person, and I like that guy a lot.
He's really good. You know, I mean, you know, he's super talented, and he's got the gift of gab, and he's got more than that. It seems like he's really good at selling. I mean, if you can identify a product for him that he has an expertise in, he can get you to buy it. You know, like if you're in the market for that thing and you happen to talk to him before you talk to someone else, he's going to sell it to you for sure. Like he's going to get the commission. You know, and that could be a UFC fight, or that could be him working on Fight Week or whatever the show is that he hosts there with those guys.
Yeah,
he's good. I guess we'll have that show. Yeah, he's really he's a great presenter.
Yeah, he is.
And he's been lurking around the 85-pound division for so long that it's good to see him. You know, it's good to see these guys pop up who I've always heard their names, but to see like Joe Stevenson was that for me, where I had met him a long time ago in California when I was just running around with the combat grappling groups, and then he pops up on the Ultimate Fighter and kind of shows up and becomes like, you know, and all of a sudden it's cool for me when you see someone who was like just a character on the scene, and all of a sudden, poof, they're like a big name. You know, that's kind of neat for me, especially when you realize why. You're like, wow, that guy was talented like that the whole time, and they just didn't figure out how to package it until just now. It's like, wow, he figured it out. It's pretty awesome. He's impressive every time, too. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are coming up. We got about 20 minutes left to show here. That means we're going to hit commercial. Then we're going to talk to Jamie Houston about Summit Fighting Championship, and we're going to make a mention of the Bellator card coming up on Saturday. So here we go. Let's go into some commercials.
This is Real Combat Media Radio. Check us out at realcombatmedia.com. While you're there, check out the Feed the Poor link on the bottom of every article, and you can send a donation if you're interested. That is, once again, on the bottom of every article as well as on the top of the website. If you are an MMA, boxing, or fitness business and interested in sponsoring our website or radio podcast, send us an email. Advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Once again, that is advertising at realcombatmedia.com. Make sure to check out the Real Combat Media MMA and boxing store at the top of the menu at realcombatmedia.com. We carry a collection of products. We have the Cardio Mask, which is excellent for all fighters, endurance athletes, and serious fitness enthusiasts. Once you are in the Real Combat Media store, click on the banner on that page. We also carry Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain is a great and natural product which activates your brain's neurotransmitters and helps you think more clearly, which improves brain function. You can also purchase the world's healthiest plant protein, which comes from hemp. There are many other products online on the online store, and click on the On It banner at the Real Combat Media store, and you can purchase Alpha Brain and other health products. Use the discount code Real Combat Media, and you will receive 10% off at the checkout store on the On It. That is ONNIT on the banner at Real Combat Media store. Buckle up. Here we go. Let's get this show started.
All right, we're back on right here. Jamie, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Jamie, welcome to Real Combat Media MMA Radio. My name's Isaac Lamford. My co-host David Hollywood Hewlett is here, as well as Mike Wurst. How are you doing this Labor Day?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. How are you guys?
I'll speak for us all and say that we are fantastic. It's been a good show here. So, Jamie, you are a pro fighter who has turned promoter. This is correct?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
All right. Can you hear me now? We can redo the call if not.
Yeah, I can hear you. Just seems like you were cutting out a little bit, but I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, right on. No, I was just asking if you're a pro fighter, right? You got a couple of wins under your belt, and now you're bringing the Summit Fighting Championship to Northern Mississippi there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I've been involved in MMA in the community here in the Memphis, North Mississippi area for, the past, 6-7 years, and I've just developed a lot of relationships with a lot of different teams, mainly because I cross-trained a lot, and also I match-made for prize fight MMA for the past, 4 or 5 years. And, I've made a name for myself pretty good being a matchmaker, and, I've been told by both Tennessee and Mississippi athletic commissioners that, I was and by other respected people that I was probably one of the best matchmakers in the area. So, being that said, I decided there was a lack of, there were good shows in the area, but I just felt like, me being a pro fighter myself, I want to bring a different experience to the fighter, and to the fan. You see a happy fighter in there fighting. He's fighting with all his heart. So I just think I bring a little bit different element to the, to the world of promotions, just coming from a fighter standpoint.
Sure. Well, and then you also were doing matchmaking. Are you doing matchmaking for your own promotion?
Yeah, sure am. I have I know what fights fans want to see in the area. I know what fights sell tickets. I know what, a lot of this area, unfortunately, I mean, MMA is popular, but in this area, most fans tend to follow fighters. They don't necessarily follow one particular show. Now, V3 is an all-amateur show. They've done a great job of, developing a product, and everybody knows who V3 is, and they've done a great job at that. Not only do they have fighters on their show that are good fighters that have a big following, but they also did a great job in promoting their show. And I told the owner, Nick Harmeyer, I talked to him Friday, and I told him, hey, I'm gonna somewhat copy your model because, not only can you, develop your product and everyone knows it as a regular household name in the area, but then also, put on the right fighters that have a big following that are good fighters and, try to put on really good competitive fights. And I've been successful with that for, 4 or 5 years. And, pretty much every show I've ever done has always had, locally for a small show, 1,500 to 3,000 people, it's a pretty big crowd. So.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna let Michael Wurst ask you some questions because he's a local there, and I know he's probably excited about the new promotion. So, Mike, you go ahead and take the floor.
Hey, Jamie, it's Mike. How are you doing tonight? Hey, Jamie, is it true getting your first card coming up in December?
Yeah.
Have you got any fights signed yet?
I do. I have. There is a huge fight that has been brewing between two veterans in the area of MMA, Matt Thomas and Bill Collins. Both of these guys are over 40, that kind of thing, but they've got a personal grudge, and I'm telling you, these guys literally hate each other. They're always blasting each other on Facebook, and the problem is Bill is normally a 205 fighter, and Matt Thomas is 265 heavyweight that's solid. He's muscle. So, Bill agreed to the fight, knowing that he would have, several months to train to try to, to build some more muscle. And he's committed to, he says he's going to walk in at, 235 or whatever. But, man, I'm going to tell you what, these two guys, if there's ever a grudge match, I mean, this is not, made out to be a grudge match. These guys really, really hate each other. And matter of fact, I plan on getting a special guest referee just for this fight, just in case one of them doesn't stop when they're told to.
It's not going to be Quentin Rampage Jackson, is it?
No. I'm real good friends with Mike Wessel, and him and I have trained together a lot, and he's actually fought Matt Thomas, and Mike is a really big, strong guy, and I feel like that's what's going to be needed to separate these guys. It's not going to be some small, little guy. It's going to have to get somebody to really be able to get in there and separate them if they won't stop.
Yeah. So how often are you looking to have cards? Once every 2-3 months, or? I'm
going to shoot for about 5 shows a year. I'm doing this show in December, and then I've already got plans to do another in January in Oxford, Mississippi. There is a guy that I kind of manage and I'm real good friends with. He's a great pro fighter. I think he's 6-1. Cody Sheffield. Cody's he's got a huge following in Water Valley, which is about 20 minutes west of Oxford, is his hometown. And I've been hearing about, people wanting to do shows in Oxford, and just it hadn't happened. So I'm going to make it happen. There's several amateur fighters down there, and I think it'll be a fun time. Good entertainment too for all the college kids that are down there too. So.
All right, sounds good, Jamie. Thanks, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Now, David, do you have any questions for Jamie here?
I was just going to say, so you're up in the northern Mississippi scene?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm from Hattiesburg originally.
How come Hattiesburg?
I was, yeah, dude, I was born in Hattiesburg.
Oh, you were born in Hattiesburg.
Yeah, well, I went to Hattiesburg High, and then I started fighting and started doing all my early stuff when I was in Birmingham, when I was in college and stuff.
Oh, okay,
but,
cool.
I remember I fought a guy named Liam McCarty for a LFC or some show that was out of right outside of Baton Rouge. I remember a bunch of guys from Jackson cornered me for that fight. They went down there without a corner, and it was for the title. It's for their middleweight belt. And I had some the guys from whatever that club was. They cornered me sort of just because they were the ones there, and I should have bought my own. And I ended up winning the fight. But I never saw those guys again. I was wondering, maybe you were one of them, actually.
Oh, no. Well, when I say North Mississippi, I'm literally across the state line, so it'd take me 10 minutes to get to Memphis.
You're like Indian reservation territory.
Yeah, well, I mean, South Haven, Mississippi, which is directly across the state line. I mean, as soon as you going down Interstate 55, it runs straight down the middle of Mississippi. But as soon as you cross out of Memphis on Interstate 55, the first city you come to is South Haven. And it's like the fastest growing city in Mississippi. But I live just east of South Haven in the same county. But in South Haven is where my first show is going to be.
I was
so,
just
all right. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, hey, sorry to cut you off. I think we're running a little bit short on time, but I did want to ask, what would you say are like a big, like if there who are turning out the fighters in Mississippi right now in the Mississippi Tennessee area? Like what gyms or what coaches are responsible for the most talent that you come across in that region right now?
By far, my home gym, which is Memphis Judo and Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, Jacob Noe came out of Memphis Judo and Jiu-Jitsu. Austin Lyons. Austin was on the Tough Show. Jacob Noe just fought King Mo. He fought Seth Petrozelli.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I was like his main training partner for when he fought Seth Petrozelli.
Okay.
So, I mean, by far the most talented. There's some up-and-coming amateurs. There's one in particular named Jaleel Willis. I don't think anybody in amateur is going to be able to stop this guy. I mean, he's going to turn pro, and I just don't see many people stopping him as a pro. I mean, his wrestling, he wrestled for White Station High School, and he was a phenomenal wrestler. And this guy, I mean, he's just a beast in the cage. He's definitely a name to look out for soon in the pros.
Cool. So would you say there's a lot of talent coming out of that region? But if you don't hear a lot about a lot of Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana has turned out a few, but the whole Tennessee, Well, although I'll say, have you worked with John Salter?
Do what now?
Do you know John Salter? Have you worked with him? Or
No.
Chris Davis?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
They
I've done training a lot with Rolly Delgado in Little Rock.
okay.
He's got a really talented school as well. And there's another. I mean, there's gyms all over, but just to name some of the top would be Memphis Judo and Jiu-Jitsu, Barada MMA, which is in Searcy, Arkansas. A guy named Willie McLaughlin. They've got a pro there named Wade Johnson. It's just, he's probably the most exciting fighter to watch. He's just so aggressive, and he's about 6'2", something like that, and he's a 155er. Really tall 155er, but strong, fast. And he was 19-1 as an amateur, and now he's 4-0 as a pro.
Wow. Good deal.
So, yeah,
well, hey, Jamie, I'm sorry, man, we're running out of time here, but I do want to thank you for coming on. And before time runs out, I want to make sure you can plug where people can find out about Summit Fighting Championship.
Yeah, hey, check out my Facebook page. Just look it up, Summit Fights, and send me a friend request. And, just be looking soon. December 14th is the date, South Haven, Mississippi. And just to give a brief, if I could, just real quick, I got Matt Thomas, Bill Collins. I've got Brian Hall, which is another huge fighter in Memphis. Brian will be on the show. Cody Sheffield will be on the show. And this guy, Wade Johnson, that I was talking about, he'll also be on the show. I've already got commitments from these guys, and I've worked with them a lot in the past, and and those are the pros that'll be on the show. And I'm just looking to have a really exciting card, and hope everybody can come check it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking time out of the holiday to talk to us. I know Mike will come make your show and let us know how everything goes. So good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
guys.
Have a good
rest of your
evening.
evening.
Hey, you
All
too.
right.
Thank
Bye,
you,
Jamie.
guys. Bye.
All right. Yeah, it's nice. I like, I always say MMA is like politics. You got to start at home or the rest doesn't matter. You got to know what's happening in your local scenes. And so I'm glad to have someone like Jamie on to talk about what's going on.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that he's involved in it in Mississippi. I mean, it's not the most exciting scene as far, I'm from there, but at the same time, the people that are doing it, just like any place where it's not like a monstrously popular thing, it's the people who are doing it are really serious about it. And so if he's plugging ahead at mixed martial arts in a place like that, then good on him.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got about 2.5 minutes here, and we are men of our word, so we are going to mention the Bellator card here as well and fulfill our obligations on the show here. This is on Saturday the 7th, coming from Connecticut, Uncasville at the Mohegan Sun Arena. It's going to be the main event's on Spike TV at 8 o'clock. You're looking at the middleweight tournament opening round. They got all the guys going. I'm glad to see it being a full 8-man tournament again. Then at the top of the card, Joe Warren's fighting again for the opening round of the bantamweight against Nick Kirk. And the main event is Alexander Shlemako. And strangely, he can't fight Doug Rhino Marshall because Rhino's injured. So he's fighting Brett Cooper, who was just knocked out by Doug Marshall in a strange turn of booking here. I'm not sure about the matchmaking right there. Can I hear some thoughts on that real quick before we go? You start with you, Mike.
Okay. Yeah. When I was doing some research, I was like, I thought you're supposed to win your next fight before you get a shot at the title. And when I saw he got knocked out, and then I went back through and saw that Shlemako's already beat him, I was like, this is just Shlemako's going to beat him again. So I don't understand the matchmaking, but
Shlemako is such a bad motherfucker. I just can't wait to see that guy fight again.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with this, Bellator is like they hit it sometimes really good. They give you great fights, sometimes not as much. Maybe these middleweight tournament fights will give us something good to look at. We are hitting 40 seconds here, guys. I want to say before we get out of here that we send out condolences to former world boxing champion and Rocky V actor Tommy Morrison has died at age 44. Very sad to hear. So you know,
Did he die of AIDS or something else?
Well, that is debatable. I think that depends on who you ask. Quickly before we go, find Real Combat Media on Facebook, at Real Combat Media on Twitter. I am at Isaac Lamfort. David, you are on Twitter?
Yeah, DC Hewlett. DC Hewlett, DavidHollywoodHewlett.com.
All right. And Mike, where can people find you if they need to?
At SoccerGuy39 on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook.
All right. Well, thank you very much from us here at Real Combat Media MMA Radio, and good night.
Thanks, guys.